Today has been a very bad day, and before we start this video and before we go anywhere, myself and all of WhatCulture, well, I just want to say that anybody that was affected by today's news and today's firings, well, I hope you all just land on your feet and I hope you're all okay. I think sometimes, it is fun to rant and rave and go crazy about professional wrestling, but maybe sometimes we forget that these are real people with real lives, with real families. I just hope when all this craziness has calmed down, you're all right. But yes, if you haven't seen, WWE has let go numerous staff within the last few hours, and my word, it keeps changing all the time. It may have even been updated while I'm saying these words, and because of that, the company may never be the same again. And of course, usually this is where I slap my head and say why, but it just seems very inappropriate. But I do have a lot to talk about, so I think we should talk. Firstly, as of this moment, and again, it literally is changing minute by minute, so you'll have to forgive me, but the following people are no longer with WWE. Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, EC3, Leo Rush, Eric Young, Heath Slater, Aiden English, Kurt Angle, Sarah Logan, referee Mike Chioda, who's been there for like 30 years. I mean, it blows the mind. Eric Rowan, Primo, Epico, Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, Zack Ryder, No Way Jose, Rusev, breaks my heart, as well as producers Billy Kidman, Mike Rotunda, Dave Finlay, Pat Buck, Sean Devari, Scott Armstrong, Sarah Stock, Shane Helms, and Lance Storm. And Lance Storm only joined like 4 months ago. The whole thing is just unreal. Now, we do have to say, the rumor right now is that some of these people have actually been furloughed and may be rehired by WWE once we're out the other side of all of this madness. And you can understand that, it does make sense. If you're running weekly performance shows from the Performance Center, you don't need 100% of your crew, so I guess there could be some logic in this. But still, even then, to let this many people go after only calling a meeting at 12 p.m. Eastern, and then within that meeting saying, hey, we're going to let you all know your futures via text message, which is the other rumor, well, it just doesn't sit very well in the stomach. And I know this is rich coming from me, because of course it's far worse for the individuals involved, but you'd have to have a heart made of stone not to at least feel a little bit for these individuals, especially when you remember the situation going on in the world right now. I mean, it's unfathomable. And we all hope and want them to go to AEW, but that's just not realistic right now. And there's not even an indie scene to speak of, because the majority of people aren't allowed to run events. And this is even more difficult to digest when you just go back a few days when WWE was saying in official press releases that not only do they have $500 million in cash reserves in the bank that will get them through this, but that they're probably going to make a profit this year. Somebody explain that to me, because I don't really understand. That's why WWE will never be the same again. If we focus on these recent cuts, I mean, how is that not going to affect the locker room, especially when certain wrestlers have quite literally risked their lives to fly to Florida to be on WWE Raw or be on WWE SmackDown? I mean, it was only a few days ago we saw No Way Jose getting destroyed by Bobby Lashley, and now he's no longer with the company. I mean, that's got to sting just a little bit. And it's not going to stop people signing with the company, of course. I'm not stupid enough to not understand that those three initials are incredibly powerful, but just compare it to something like the Montreal Screwjob, which also did the same kind of thing. I mean, take AJ Styles. Even in real life, AJ Styles, I'm going to guess, has just lost two of his best friends in the business, but also in storyline, he just lost his two henchmen. If he sat at home right now, he's not going to have a big smile on his face. In fact, he may even feel a little bit guilty that he managed to avoid the cut. And I'm not saying I want AJ Styles to be cut. I'm just saying that's how the human brain works. So really, while you'll be relieved that you are still employed, you're not going to be a pleased pup. Events like this don't just go away either, because fans do remember. For example, take when WWE started running shows in Saudi Arabia. If you do go get all the numbers and all the statistics, you can see a downward trajectory where you could argue that yes, people stopped watching World Wrestling Entertainment as soon as they entered into a deal with Saudi Arabia, because morally they didn't think it was right. And it really wouldn't surprise me if that happened here, because again, as long as you have empathy or sympathy, you should be feeling those two emotions right now. Because brand loyalty is a very real thing, but it starts with how you feel about that brand. Like if you use Head & Shoulders every day, then the CEO of Head & Shoulders rings you up and goes, ha ha ha, you're a piece of trash, you're probably going to go and use another anti-dandruff shampoo. In terms of WWE itself, again, what a week from hell this has been. For starters, the XFL folded for the second time and then declared itself bankrupt. In the fallout from that, it turned out that yes, WWE did have stock in XFL, which Vince McMahon always said wasn't the case. And then there was this crazy controversy where professional wrestling was deemed as essential business in Florida. And as far as I'm concerned, we're all trying to work that one out. And I know, I get it, the current situation has taken chunks out of everybody, be it the person or the organisation, but let's use an example from over here in the UK. Let's use Tottenham Football Club, who play in the Premier League. A couple of weeks ago, they came out and said that they were going to furlough their non-playing staff, and their fans went, wait a minute, you guys have loads of cash, we don't think you should do this. Now, it took them a couple of weeks to make right on it, but they did make a statement going, okay, we made a mistake, we're now going back on that, and we won't do this, and they still have to make amends with the fans. They've still got to make it up, but at least they've made the right move. Here, WWE has not made the right move, and they pissed off the fans, so now nothing is connecting how it should. I mean, how is WWE going to calm this down? Go on any wrestling website, go on Reddit. People are losing their minds, as they rightfully should. I think this could have a very big knock-on effect. On a personal note too, it just sucks to see somebody like Rusev leave. And that's a redundant thing to say because you could take any name on that list and make an argument about why this shouldn't be happening, but you know how it works. You'll be the same. There will be a few guys or girls that you heard and you went, no, not that. How could you fire that person? Like Gallows and Anderson. Gallows and Anderson pretty much main evented WrestleMania 36, had tremendous performances, and then a couple of weeks later, they're given their walking papers. I will give you a couple of minutes to figure out who else has ever been in that predicament. Nobody, because nobody should ever be in that predicament. And Heath Slater is another, or Zack Ryder, or again, Mike Chioda. I mean, hell, if you really want to see what this is doing to people, go and watch Drake Maverick's promo, I shouldn't say promo, interview, whatever you want to call it, selfie video, he put on Twitter earlier today. It is absolutely heartbreaking. And this was just like a tornado. It was like an avalanche. It was like a stack of dominoes. As soon as they started to fall, it didn't stop. And I'm a little worried that when I go to bed in a second to wake up in the morning, there's going to be more nutsness. And I get it too. I know what some people are going to say. There's no friends in business. But that's a horrible way to look at the world. And I refuse to do it. It doesn't mean something doesn't suck. Of course it sucks. And again, I feel for everybody who has received kind of out of nowhere bad news on this random Thursday. Who the hell knows what's going to happen over this weekend? And I will say, I can't say the word, but this global situation that we're all experiencing is just the flipping worst. If nothing else, it just paints a really bad picture. And when a lot of us are cooped up in our houses right now, not allowed to leave and keeping everything crossed that eventually things will be all right, and then you see something like this when it's to do with wrestling, something that we're all so passionate about deep down, well, I have decided that the last few hours have been absolutely terrible. And once again, I can't even imagine what these wrestlers are thinking right now. I mean, maybe they saw it coming, maybe they didn't see it coming. Hell, maybe some of them are happy. Let's try and get a positive out of this. If you're an EC3, you're an Ethan the Carter III, maybe you're like, well, I'm glad to be out of there because they weren't using me worth a damn anyway. But I can't see it that way right now. I can't see it that way right now. I think we should not have done this. I think we should have come up with another way, especially because WWE right now is still performing. I mean, really, you can kind of equate this to house shows. A lot of people that you see on that list, you go, oh, they're the house show guys. I don't mean that disparagingly, but it does make a lot of sense. And because we're not running house shows, we don't need the house show guys. But again, where's the loyalty? Where's the love, man? Right now, that's what we all need as a human race. I don't want to get all hippy-trippy. Just how I feel. It's just how I feel. But look, I'll tell you again in a minute. You let me know in the comments below. Does this affect your opinion of WWE? And does it make you think that, maybe WWE is about to change forever, even if that's your perception of World Wrestling Entertainment? That still counts. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. And hey, why don't we just throw some positivity back in the world? Why don't you take your favorite wrestler from that list and write something really nice about them, because maybe they'll see it. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. You can keep up to date with all of this over on whatculture.com. Anytime there is an update, we'll make sure to update you. Same with Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And again, anything like this we can talk about here on What Culture Wrestling's YouTube channel. That's what we shall do. My name is Simon Miller. Thank you very much for watching. And again, I really do mean this from the bottom of my heart. If somehow any of the wrestlers that were released see this video, I'm sorry. I genuinely am sorry. I mean, it had nothing to do with me. Who the hell am I? Just some random guy that's lucky enough to come on here and rant and rave. But I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And every time I, refresh WWE.com or refresh one of these wrestling news sites, you just saw another name and another name and another name. And then wrestlers were tweeting about it. And then it was confirmed a few seconds later. It's these kinds of days in wrestling that we just don't need. And again, to try and be as fair as I possibly can, there is this inkling that some people will be brought back. But imagine that happened to you in your job today. Let's say you work for Floorland, and Floorland says to you, oh Dave, I'm really, really sorry, we're gonna have to let you go, but fingers crossed in a few months, we'll be able to bring you back. You're not gonna feel very wanted. You're not gonna feel like there was any respect or loyalty there. In fact, you're probably gonna feel like somebody just kicked you in your ass, and that's because that's exactly how you should feel. I know it's wrestling, and wrestling is a crazy business, but maybe we do need something to protect professional wrestlers so something like this can never ever happen again, especially in the middle of a global pandemic. I will see you when I see you.